Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again with you on the 22nd of February, 2023. I'm here with remote viewer and a psychic medium, Liz Cross. How are you doing today, Liz?
I'm getting there. This darn cold, but yeah, I'm doing much better today. Thank you. And so are you. Thank goodness.
No, I feel a lot better. Yeah, not near enough 100%, as near as good as damn it. Yeah. Right. Okay. This is something that we've been asked to do, and we are behind with all our videos, but we're going to do the easy ones first. And they're easy because people have put the subject matter, but they've also put a list of questions on Discord, and therefore it's very easy for me to look at it. And then I can obviously expand off the back of that. So this is Jimmy Hoffa. He was the president of Teamsters, which is like the trade unions for all those non-Americans on here. He was connected into the mob, and he disappeared in July 75, was declared dead a few years later. Right. Okay. You need to grab him, please.
Wow. Okay. I've got Jimmy Hoffa. And can I just say, I love who put this probe forward, right? He puts a lot of probes forward. And why do we get to do his probes? Because he makes it so easy for us. If you want your probe to be put forward, do your homework, write the questions out, tell us who we're probing. You know, that's how you get your probes on videos. Okay, so I have Jimmy Hoffa, yes, and he's excited. He's happy to talk to us. He's like, finally, I get to tell my story.
Okay, so, right, well, we'll start with that then. What is his story? How did he die?
He was murdered.
Okay, does he know who murdered him?
He was tortured, he was beaten, and he was, they did like, you know, I want to say like almost like a waterboarding where they tried to they wanted him to talk. I don't know a lot about this stuff. This is, you know, before my time. I don't know. So why were they after him?
Well, let's ask him that. I mean, okay, so who did this to him? Was it organized crime, the mafia? Was it the government? Who did this? Who killed him?
Who did this to you? Was it organized crime? The government.
So not the mafia, what would be commonly known as the mafia?
What would be commonly known as the mafia? No, the government paid for this.
So were the people that killed him contract killers?
So were the people that killed you contract killers? Yes.
Why did the government want him gone?
Why would the government want you gone? Because he was corrupt.
Okay.
He had too many secrets. He knew too much.
But against the government?
Against the government? Against everybody. He knew who the criminals were. He was involved in some criminal network. He was leaking information. He knew a lot of stuff about, you know, government officials, sleeping with like prostitutes, involved in criminal activity. Yeah, he had to be gone. He was too much of a security risk.
Okay. So where did the order for this come from? The very top, the then president of the United States?
Was it ordered by the president? Just below the presidency.
So was this a Nixon thing, or was this no, probably later than Nixon, wasn't it? Who was the president? No. I'm trying to think.
1975, was it Carter?
No, Gerald Ford.
Ford. Was this Ford? It was his administration.
Right. Does he understand that a lot of people mostly blame the mafia for his death?
You understand that people mostly. Yeah, well, that's the big mystery behind it.
Right. but it was contract killers at the behest of the US government.
Yes.
Okay.
Did that just throw all the questions out?
No. Apparently, he lived at 31079 McKinney Street. So, was he murdered in his home?
Were you murdered in your home? No.
Was it in the grounds or the garden of his home, or was it somewhere completely different?
No, I feel like they abducted him.
Okay. Does he know whether Harvey Leach was murdered at his home?
Do you know whether Harvey Leach was murdered at your home? I don't know who Harvey Leach is. Who's Harvey Leach?
I have no idea. It's one of these questions. That's the problem. I know who Hoffa was, but I don't know who Harvey Leach was.
Okay, well, let's look him up. So I feel that he was taken from. Was he taken from him, or he was most probably killed there too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people were killed there.
Not at Hoffa's home, but this location where they did this. Yeah.
Well, listen, this guy Hoffa, I don't know anything about him. I'm not into the mob stuff, right? But I know a lot of people are. He was a bad guy, right? He would torture people. He would kill people. He would have people at his home that would, then be taken away by the bad guys and murdered and disappeared. The bodies never to be seen again. There was a lot of this stuff going on. And were you the one that killed Harvey Leach? No, somebody else killed Harvey Leach.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's not a good man. I don't know.
No, I'm not saying he was. No, he was the boss of the Teamster Union, so for a long time. But obviously, he became inconvenient for the government. I mean, he wasn't inconvenient for the mob. He was inconvenient for the government. That's why they murdered him, by the looks of it. Right. The location where he was murdered, are his remains there at that location or in a slab of concrete at the backyard or something like that? I'm not quite sure.
No, he was incinerated.
Okay. Was the weapon used to kill him buried with him at the location or incinerated with him, or is that in a concrete slab? See, there's a lot. I remember those rumors at the time, that the mob killed him and they put his remains into a brick wall, into a pillar of an overpass or something.
Oh, or was your remains put into the pillar? No, that's rumor. No. What you were incinerated? Yeah, they have an incineration device that was used. Listen, we're talking about the government, right? Not the mob.
So did this happen in New Jersey? Was he disposed of, killed in New Jersey?
No, New York.
In New York.
Mm-hmm. Was the weapon disposed of with him? No.
No, well, if it was government sanctioned, then it's one thing if the mob did it and the government, comes after the mob, but if the government did it, there are a lot of people who think they are the biggest mobsters of the lot.
Right. Well, a lot of time back in the day, right, in that time when the mafia was very active, the government would pin a lot of murders and a lot of missing people on the mob, even though they were the ones doing it.
Of course. Yeah. Right. That's all the questions we have actually for Hoffa. So,
yeah,
it's pretty much answered everything. He was killed by the government. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's a surprising answer for a lot of
people. It is a surprising answer because obviously Wikipedia, which, is not necessarily the source of everything, but right. It shows you how, you can have everybody looking down one rabbit hole, whereas the truth is somewhere in the other rabbit hole. So, bottom line, he wasn't killed by the mob. He was killed by the government, US government. So
yeah. Awesome. And again, thank you to our member that posed this probe. He's had 3 or 4 probes done now because he, like we say, we can't reiterate it enough. Write down the questions. Don't send a video. Don't send an article wanting us to read it and make the questions out ourselves, because our questions may not be what you want to hear anyway. You need to write down your questions and you send them to me. For those of you that are outside of the Discord and you're just a member of the public, not a subscriber, and you're listening to these and you're writing to me and you're wanting probes done, really the best way to get your probes done is to get into the Discord. You do that by going to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. Discord Patreon subscribers always get first dibs on everything, I will go ahead and tell you all now. All of the appointments, right? The readings and the CTT appointments that were just opened up a couple weeks ago, they all went to Patreon subscribers. They knew exactly when that calendar was opening and what time that calendar was going to be open, right? And they were ready. They took all the appointments, and they're in the CTT group. They're getting the healing every Monday morning at 9 a.m. They're talking to Mr. Shakespeare. You're very active on the Discord, Mr. Shakespeare. I'm not as active as you because I try to remove myself from the information, and you're just like an information gathering machine. I don't necessarily want to see what's coming up, because if I do, then I start trying to figure it out with my logical mind. And
that's why we have a list of things that we're doing, and that's why I never ever pre-warn you of what we're going to do. So.
Right. You don't. You really don't. So again,
apart from the ones that you spring on me that you want done, which is fair enough, you don't know which ones are coming up, because I don't want you. I want you to be blind to it all. I don't, and you're right, you don't spend a lot of time on the Discord. I spend all the time on the Discord. So,
yeah. I'm usually doing readings. But again, this is a perfect example of, how we like for these probes to be sent to us. And this person, he sent a good 3 or 4 now, and his probes get done every time because he'll say, okay, I need you to grab so-and-so, and I need you to ask them this question, and I need you to grab so-and-so, and I need you to ask them that question. And, that's how it's done. We can't reiterate that enough. If you want your probe out there, you need to do it in that way. So thank you very much again to join the Patreon. Listen, guys, it's only $3.50 a week. It's a bargain. To join the Patreon, go to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. Thank you for this probe. This was good.